everybody. This is Playing with Embroidery Stitches number 5. And the idea for this episode came to me when I pulled out a quilt that I've only partially hand quilted, and it's next on my list of to-dos. So I pulled it out a couple weeks ago, and when I was looking at it, I thought it's another good example to show you another way to play with your stitches. It's this quilt, my Rose Cottage sewing room quilt. With this quilt, I used a backstitch to go around the applique shapes to give it an extra definition. I'll show you some up close examples in a second, but I thought I'd show you what a backstitch is. It's basically, you can see it here, I think. It's a stitch that you do that looks really close to a running stitch, but they're right side by side. And it's really simple. You just go in where the last stitch ends. You go past where you came out and go. So the thread where you came out, I'm not describing this very well. The thread where you came out is in the middle of where your needle goes in and needle comes out. This is the best way to describe it. You work from right to left. A is halfway between B and C, and you repeat B and C in a line, always going back in the hole from the last stitch, and hence that's why it's called the back stitch. I'll pull this through to show you. The reason stem stitch also could be done, but my personal favorite is this one, the back stitch. What I am also showing you the stem stitch for is because I find this very interesting. On the back of a back stitch is the stem stitch, and if you check on the back of a stem stitch, you'll find a back stitch. They're sort of opposites of each other, so I find that very interesting. Okay, I'm going to get the quilt. I'm not going to be able to show you the whole quilt in this video, but I will show you different blocks. Hold on a sec. This is the sewing machine of the Rose Cottage quilt. It's the first time I used and designed this sewing machine shape. I've shown it to you a couple of times now in these videos because I've used it in a crazy quilt version and in a patchwork version. Here you can see the back stitch all the way around the shape. I also used it for the needle, but even the spool, and I also used it for the curly cues in the sewing machine itself, but it just adds to that. It's very charming once you get. I love this rose. I love this rose colored this rose fabric. It's so pretty, and this just popped it in my opinion, and I really liked that. So I use this idea throughout the rest of the quilt, and I'll come back with the next block. Here it is I used it for surrounding the shapes of the pincushion and the little strawberry as well. And then I made my needle and pins with the back stitch as well. Those are beads as the top of the pins. I barely can get this whole block in. This was kind of it's a sewing room quilt, so it's my creative space, and the back stitch around all the letters just adds that extra, well, in this case, because I used all the different fabrics, it sort of pulled it in, the whole design as one. And next, I'm going to show you my most, well, not favorite because the sewing machine is a favorite, but it's a special block. This is my button jar. I always wanted to make a button jar quilt block, filled with real buttons, and that's what I did. These are all my absolute favorite green and pink buttons. And as you can see around the jar, I used the back stitching again and around the lid. All right, Thanks for watching. I've got one more video in the series so far, next week, and then I'm gonna stop the series for a while until I think of some more ideas, because I'm excited to share that I'm going to start an applique series that'll show you the many ways you can prepare your patches for applique. So, like I said, next week is one more of the playing with embroidery stitches, and then I'm going to move on to applique, and hope you'll join me for those as well. Okay, thanks for watching.